Hello and welcome to my Tunisian Crochet Basics tutorial. We need to first start by making a slip knot with our yarn. So there are many ways you can make a slip knot. I'm going to show you the way that I do it. So you start by holding the yarn between both hands between your pointer fingers and thumbs. And then I wrap the yarn around my right pointer finger and middle finger. And then with my left hand, I grab the tail end of the yarn with my pointer finger and thumb. And then with my right pointer finger and middle finger, I twist the yarn and make a loop. Insert my thumb into the loop. And then with my right pointer finger and thumb, I grab the tail end of the yarn, pull it through the loop until that knot is closed. And that is my slip knot. So once you finish making your slip knot, insert your hook into the loop and pull the tail end of the yarn until your loop closes on your hook. With Tunisian crochet, you always have to start by making a foundation row, and in order to do that, we need to chain a certain number of stitches. So if you were following a pattern, you would chain the number of stitches the pattern asks you to. For the tutorial, I'm going to chain 10. And essentially what we're doing is yarning over. So you need to bring your yarn and wrap it from the back to the front of your hook. And then you're gonna pull that loop you just placed onto your hook through the loop that was already on the hook, just like that. And that is how you make a chain. We are going to make 10 of those. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. When you are finished making all of your chains, then you need to pull up a loop in each chain across, skipping the first chain. So here's my first chain. I need to go into the second, and I like to go in the back bumps of the chains. So you insert your hook into each chain and pull up a loop and keep it on your hook. If you prefer to go in the top loops of the chain, that works just fine too. Most of the time I like to go in the back bump of the chain because it gives you a pretty edging. Once you pull up all your loops in your chains, then you need to work a return pass to complete the row. To work a return pass, you start by yarning over and pulling through one loop. And then we repeatedly yarn over and pull through 2 loops all the way across. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And you repeat that all the way across until you only have 1 loop left on your hook. After finishing the foundation row, we can start working a row of Tunisian simple stitches. But at the beginning of every row, you will have a loop already on your hook, and that counts as your first stitch. And your first stitch will be this pretty V-stitch you get along the edge of your work. So that counts as our first stitch. And now we have all these little lines all the way down our foundation row. So we need to find our first line along, and to work a Tunisian simple stitch, insert your hook into that, yarn over, and pull up a loop. And that is how you make a Tunisian simple stitch. I'll show you that again. Find your next line along right here, and you're inserting your hook through that, yarn over, and pull up a loop. And again, so here's my next line along. So I'm inserting my hook through that, yarning over, pulling up a loop. And repeat that all the way across until you have 1 stitch left. Now your last stitch at the end of every row is worked by going through the 2 loops on the edge, and then you yarn over and pull up a loop. So we worked all 10 stitches, even though we technically didn't work the first stitch since it was already on the hook. So to complete the row, we need to work a return pass, and you start by yarning over and pulling through 1, and then you repeatedly yarn over and pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and you keep repeating that until you have 1 loop left on your hook. All right, I will do another row of Tunisian simple stitches. So remember, your first stitch is already on your hook, and that counts as this V-stitch on the edge of your work. So you need to find that first line, insert your hook through that, yarn over, and pull up a loop. Here's my next line, inserting my hook, yarn over, pull up a loop. And you repeat that all the way across until you get to your last stitch. And there it is. You work the last stitch by inserting your hook through the 2 loops on the edge, yarn over, and pull up a loop. And again, to complete the row, we need to work a return pass. You start by yarning over, pulling through 1, and then repeatedly yarning over, pulling through 2, all the way across. I'm going to work a few more rows of Tunisian simple stitches, and then I will show you how to bind off your project when you are done. Now I'm going to show you how to bind off your stitches for your project. So we already have a loop on our hook, so we need to find that next line along, and we're essentially working a Tunisian simple stitch. But now what we need to do is bind that stitch off. So we are going to, pretty much we're working a slip stitch, so we are going to pull this loop through the loop that was already on our hook, just like that. And now I need to bind off the next stitch, so find the next line along, insert your hook, yarn over and pull up a loop, and then slip that loop you just added onto your hook under the loop that was already on your hook. And you just repeat that all the way across your project. Until you get to your last stitch. And here is the last stitch. And that you also need to go through the 2 loops on the edge of your work, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then slip that loop you just added onto your hook under the one that was already on your hook, and then you are done. So then you just need to cut your yarn and weave in your ends, block your project if needed. And that is it for the basics of Tunisian crochet. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial.